Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. We were on the second Brahmana, fourth Brahmana of the fourth chapter, the second Khandika, or the second Vakya. So in the previous Brahmana, the Swayam Jyotir Brahmanam only, we saw that the Upanishad had made it very clear that this Atma is different from the Dehatma Sanghata, correct? The Deha or Karya Karana Sanghata, or this what we call the body mind sense complex. So Atma is not the physical body. Atma is also not the subtle body. Atma is also not the causal body or the Karana Sharira. Also, the three avasthas also we saw. The Atma is also something which transcends all three because it goes from one to the other. So from that only we can know that if it is only associated, if it is only the waker, then it cannot entirely suspend the waking and the waker and go to a dream world and become the dreamer, correct? Since Atma is able to be the waker also, dreamer also, and the sleeper also, that means Atma transcends all three. Atma is actually something which is not, it is neither the waker, nor the dreamer, nor the sleeper. That way, the Atma Swarupa is free from, you can say, avidya, kama, karma. Avidya is not the Swarupa of Atma. This also was said, Bhashyakara stated it explicitly in the Bhashya. In fact, the Mahamatsya Drishtanta and all was given to show that the Atma goes to the either of the two, you can say, two banks of a big river, or in between also it is going. Atma is that like a big fish, correct, which goes all over the river. Like this Atma is going from one state to the other, but it itself is free from all these things. None of these things are the Swarupa of Atma because these things are coming and going. They are all transient. Atma is the invariable in each and every experience, in each and every state. That is the important thing. So unless the Atma is the invariable, we cannot even say, I am awake, I dream, I slept. All these things, one can never even state all these things. So that invariable in each and every state, invariable in each and every experience also within a state also. Even while awake, each and every cognition, I am the invariable. As this consciousness, I am the invariable. The cognitions vary. The nama rupa, the name and form in each and every cognition keeps on changing, but consciousness is, which is associated with each and every cognition, it remains the same. So that is my very nature. I am of the nature of consciousness, which is what is called Swayam Jyotihi. I am self-effulgent, self-existent, conscious being. That is my Swarupa. That's what the Upanishad taught us. And that Swarupa is also Ananda. So the Ananda Mimamsa also was there in the previous Brahmana. So from all these things, you may think that it has actually taught the entire thing. But Janaka again asks a question to Yajnavalkya because Yajnavalkya had given the dream and waking as a drishtanta for samsara and sleep as a drishtanta or an analogy for moksha, because in sleep, even though we say avidya, potentially it is there, but the avidya karya not being there, we don't experience even any Dvaita there. Therefore, sleep is taken as an analogy for moksha. The other reason being sleep is also very highly desirable, correct? Everybody desires sleep, and the sleep experience is the same for everybody, whether you are a king or whether you are a beggar. Sleep is said, and so there you don't know even a second thing, and that is a very very desirable state. That way it is given as a drishtanta for moksha. So the waking and dream were given as a drishtanta for samsara. But Yajnavalkya is asked a question by Janaka because now he wants the Dhartantika to be explained. So this samsara itself, what do you mean by samsara? What happens during death? This also needs to be explained. So that's why he asks the question. And therefore again Janaka is being taught what happens during death. Because the samsara is not only going from waking to dream, it is also from one body to another, correct? You go from, even if this body dies, you take up another body. That is the samsara. There is punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Now that also actually some amount of description started in the previous Brahmana itself. But Bhashyakara, while introducing this Brahmana, he said that the samsara varnanam actually goes up to the sixth kandika, sixth vakya here. So why does even the Upanishad again start this? Is it not anuvada or repetition if you ask? So that's why Bhashyakara says previously it was briefly said the samsara, what happens when the body is is the body is left by the Vijnana Atma, correct? In fact, the distanta of a king and all was given. Like even a king is given a royal send off, and again wherever he goes, a royal welcome is given. Similarly, all the indriyas join with the atma, and then it goes out of the body. That is like a send off, and then again these devatas who bless and make the indriyas function, they are all waiting to receive this atma, the jivatma, and then they again in the new body they go and settle in their new places wherever they have to function, and that's how the a brief description of that was given, how the one dies and takes up another body. That is given in more detail now, Bhashyakara says. And why this more detail is given here? That is because you have to develop vairagya. That is the idea here. Also, in this, while describing this, the Upanishad is also showing that you become literally helpless, correct? You become senseless. If you see the first khandika or vakya here, abalyam nyetya, samoham even nyetya, and all that is there, means you become weak. You are senseless, means basically you don't sense anything, you don't cognize anything, you are deluded totally. And at that time, what all these indriyas withdraw, all the devatas who are blessing the indriyas, they withdraw from the indriyas and come to the heart. They come together and join the prana, correct? The prana pradhana sukshma sharira. Because during death, prana is the main thing. Normally, when we talk about sukshma sharira, we talk about both manas and prana. But during death, prana is the one which is primary, because the other indriyas and even mind are all resolved, you can say. But prana alone is there, like even during deep sleep. The sukshma sharira in deep sleep is prana pradhana, because the mind and indriyas are all resolved there, correct? So like that, this prana takes them and they all come to the hridaya. At that time, what happens? When the initially one devata was said in the previous kandika, correct? Chakshushaha purushaha, like that the devata who is identified with the functioning of the eye, that devata, when that devata withdraws, you can say, okay, then what happens at that time? So this person does not see, correct? That is what is happening. So when the presiding deity, you can say, or the devata of the eye turns back from all sides, that is what literally it says. Okay. So chakshushaha purushaha parang uh, parang paryavartate. Paryavartate means it actually withdraws from all sides. And then what? Atha, thereafter, arupajnaha bhavati, the person does not see anything. So the what happens during death means initially the sight goes away, the person is not able to see. Up to this point, the first Vakya is talking, we saw that. And then now we have to go to the second. Eki bhavati na pashyati iti ahuhu. So when the chakshishaha purushaha withdraws from all sides, then what happens to that devata who is blessing the eyes, correct? That devata becomes one with the sukshma sharira, the linga sharira. At that time, what happens? Those who are around the person who is dying, they say it seems, na pashyati iti ahuhu. They say this person is not able to see anymore, is not able to see. Similarly, then other indriyas are also listed here. You can see, eki bhavati na jighrati iti ahuhu. Means the sense of smell also, that devata, the devata of the sense of smell, again becomes one with the lingatma or the prana, you can say here. And then at that time, this person does not smell anymore. Then what? Eki bhavati na rasayate. So again, when the sense of taste also, that devata who is functioning there, that devata also becomes one with the lingatma. Then what happens? The sukshma sharira, if it becomes one, that person does not taste anymore. It's not having any sense of taste. Then eki bhavati na vadati. The vag indriya, devata also, when it withdraws and becomes one with the sukshma sharira, then the person is not able to talk anymore. So na vadati iti ahuhu. Further, eki bhavati na shrinoti iti ahuhu. Then the shrotrendriya, devata also withdraws and merges or becomes one with the sukshma sharira, means then everybody says he is not able to hear. Whatever you say also, the person is not responding. So na shrinoti ityahuhu. Then what? Eki bhavati na manute ityahuhu. Then the mind also, the devata who is blessing the mind so that the mind can function, that devata also withdraws and becomes one with the sukshma sharira, then the person does not think anymore. So na manute ityahuhu. Eki bhavati na sprishati. Then the sense of touch also withdraws, that devata also. The devata who is functioning as the sense of touch withdraws and becomes one with the sukshma sharira, then does not, even if you touch that person, that doesn't feel, that person does not feel any sense of touch. Na sprishati ityahuhu. Eki bhavati na vijanati. Then the mind again, the buddhi also does not function anymore. That also is withdrawn and it becomes one with the sukshma sharira, the prana pradhana sukshma sharira. Then that person does not cognize anymore, does not know anything. It can become unconscious, coma, and all that we say. So many people go into such a state, correct? You can see that. And therefore, what happens then? So basically, the Upanishad has given a very graphic description of what happens, how each and every indriya doesn't function and it becomes one with the sukshma sharira. And then what happens here? Tasyaha etasya hridayasya agram pradyotate. So they all withdraw. So all these indriyas are all supposed to be dyotanatmakaha, correct? They are all devaha. Means they are all shining, means they are the ones who are sentient, correct? That sentiency itself is like a light, or it is a shining consciousness or awareness. So they have that ability to shine their own sense objects so that it becomes evident. So that's why they all come into the Hridaya and become one with the Sukshma Sharira. At that time, Hridaya Agram means basically the top of the heart, you can say. Bhashyakara says it is the opening. There is an opening there that becomes bright, it seems. Pradyotate. Tena pradyotena yesha atma nishkramati. Then through that only, that pradyotate, the hridayasya agram, also he says, this nadi mukha, like that we'll see in the Bhashya. So it is like the end of the nadis. In fact, when the prana leaves along with all these indriyas from the body, it can go through different nadis. All the nadis are connected to the hridaya. We have seen that 72,000 nadi and all are different numbers are all given depending on how we count them. But the nadis are all connected to the hridaya, and from the hridaya, whichever nadi through which that sukshma sharira leaves the sthula sharira, then accordingly you will have the whatever the marga where you go. That also Bhashyakara will say, we'll see in the Bhashya. So the Hirdayasya Agram is basically the Nadi Mukha, means the end of the Nadis, and through that only now this Atma leaves. Pradyotena, whichever becomes, because there are so many Nadi ends connected to the Hridaya, and whichever brightens there, through that the Atma leaves, Atma Nishkramati. So it can leave through Chakshushtaha, Va Murdhanaha, or through the top here, correct? The Brahmarandhra and all we say. In fact, if the Atma leaves through that, we say that you go to the Brahmaloka. If it goes through the eyes, means you go to the Aditya Loka, like that Bhashyakara will say later. Or it can leave through any other place also. Anye Vyahava Sharira Deshebhyaha. Okay. So it can leave through other places depending on, then you may go to some other, you may take some other life form. Okay. It can be even plants or animals in this loka, or you go to Adho loka also, it is possible, depending on through which nadi this Atma, this Lingatma lives. So, tam utkramantam pranaha anutkramati pranam anutkramantam sarve pranaha. So, this prana which is leaving, correct? Now, along with that, other things also are leaving. So already the indriyas have become one with the prana. Okay. So when this jivatma leaves, along with that the prana leaves, correct? Or the lingatma. Basically, when we say jivatma, we are talking about the consciousness which is manifest in the sukshma sharira upadhi. So the upahita chaitanya, when it leaves, means basically it is leaving along with the prana. And when the prana leaves, all other pranaha here means basically the indriyas are also called as prana, correct? Depending on the context. So here all the other organs also, all the sense organs also follow the prana. Now what happens? It's very interesting, it is saying. So when all the pranas or all the organs also leave, sarve pranaha anutkramanti, savijnanaha bhavati. So savijnanaha, Bhashyakara will say that Vishesha Vijnanam you get, means what will be your next birth, that is known, it seems. That is the Vishesha Vijnana. With that jnanam only this Sukshma Sharira leaves. In fact, about this also we already saw even in the previous chapter. When you are about to die, you may get a dream. Even in dream, you will know what kind of next life, how your current karma is going to fructify in the next life, etc. You will have some idea, correct? That jnanam will be there. It was talked about. So here you will have this jnana. Of course, this jnanam you will have means that it is not that you decide what you will know. It's not like you are recollecting some pleasant, or you are going to only have, you have the control over what kind of life you are going to get. That you are completely under the spell of your own karma. According to your own karma phala only, that that jnanam of the next life will be there for you. So savijnanaha bhavati, savijnanam eva anvavakramati. So with that jnanam, what happens? So, so what you then go to the body which is revealed through that jnanam, correct? Which is related to that particular jnanam which you had, the Vishesha Vijnanam. So you go to the body which is revealed through that. And basically, when you go like that, along with you, what goes? Some Vidya Karmani, Saman Varabhete, Purva Prajnacha. So along with you, your knowledge and your whatever karma, correct? Vidya and karma, and also Purva Prajna means whatever Anubhava, the samskaras which you have due to your own Anubhava, all that also goes. So that is why we say some people also get connection to the Purva Prajna. That is why they are all child prodigies and all that we see, correct? Or like Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita, Tatratam Buddhi Sanyogam Labate Paurva Dehikam, he says. For the Yoga Brashta, even those who have been in this path of Vedanta, those who have been mumukshus, they have studied Vedanta, they have been yoga sadhakas, but for whatever reason they couldn't get moksha, they become yoga bhrashta, but even they will get a good next birth where they have connection to the previous buddhi, he says. Therefore, they all start with an advantage. So there are many people like that, correct? Many jnanis we see, many saints we see, they are all from a very young age, they have a certain disposition of their mind, which is very amazing, correct? How did they even have such viveka, vairagya, even as such a young person, which many people don't get even after they become very old. That is all we have to say, that it is all because of this purva prajna only. So that also goes along with you. So this is what is the explanation here. During death, what happens? Now let us see what Bhashyakara says. Eki bhavati karana jatam svena lingatmana. So the all the karanas, correct? They all become one with the lingatma, means the sukshma sharira here. Tada yenam parshvastha ahuhu. So again, at that time means at the time of death, basically, whoever is there around this person, okay, they all say, whoever is surrounding this person, they say what? Pashyati iti. So they all say what? He does not see anymore. In fact, here it should be, I think, na pashyati, but I think the na got left out here. There's a mistake, but anyway, that's what. So they all say he does not see. Now, similarly, you have to understand Bhashyakara says, Tatha grana devatadi devata nivruttau grana meki bhavati lingatmana tada na jigrati tyahuhu. So similarly, when the grana devata also withdraws, and then what? The sense of smell, that sense organ becomes one with the sukshma sharira, the lingatma, and at that time, then this person does not smell anymore. Samana manyati means other things are all similar, he says. Okay, only the Vag Indriya being a Karmendriya, Bhashyakara again specially mentions here, Jihvayam Somaha Varunaha Va Devata. So for the Jihva, Soma or Varuna is the Devata, Tan Nivrityapekshaya Na Rasayate Ityahuhu. The tongue is both Vagindriya and Rasanendriya. So when it withdraws, both taste also goes and speech also goes. So tatha na vadati. So both taste also goes and he is not able to speak because that the Jihvendriya is associated with both. It is both a sense organ and an organ of action. Then further what? Na shrinoti, na manute, na sprishati, na vijanati ityahuhu. So once all these devatas, they withdraw, then you don't do any of these things. You don't hear, you don't think, you don't have a sense of touch, and you don't cognize anything. So at that time, tada, at the time of death, upalakshyate devata nivrittihi karananamcha hridaye eki bhavaha. So at that time, two things are happening. Okay, Bhashyakara is pointing out here. Okay, so this eki bhavati, when we say, there are two things are talked about here. What are they? That the deities or the devatas, they withdraw. That is one thing. But they also become one with the prana in the hridaya. So karananamcha hridaye eki bhavaha. They all become one with the prana in the hridaya. So at the time of death, both these things are happening. So it is characterized, the time of death is characterized by both the devata nivritti, devatas withdrawing, then they all becoming one in the heart. So then what at the time again? Tatra, in that state, hridaye, in the hridaya, upasamhriteshu karneshu, yaha antar vyaparaha sa kathyate. So now the Upanishad is saying, once they have all withdrawn and become one in the heart, what happens? That is now being said by the Upanishad. So what does it say? Tasyaha etasya prakritasya hridayasya hridaya chidrasya iti etat. So tasyaha etasya is basically the hridaya only is talked about here. Hridayasya, which is under discussion. Now hridayasya also Bhashyakara says hridaya chidrasya. So the basically there is a, you can say, a opening is talked about here, correct? The opening is talked about, means here the agra means what? Bhashyakara gives agram nadi mukham nirgamana dwaram. So as I said, all the nadis are all connected to the heart, and they are all like an opening. Through that nadi, the prana can go away. Correct? It is the nirgamana dwara means what? It is the gateway through which this prana can leave. So the nadis, the ending of the nadis are all there. The connection with the nadis are there in the heart. Okay, that is what is the agram here. And what happens to that? Pradyotate swapna kalaiva. So they all become bright. Okay, they brighten. Like even in the dream state, Bhashyakara says, basically what? Dream, in the dream, the entire dream is lighted up by your own consciousness, correct? It is your own sentiency or awareness which is lighting up the entire dream world. Similarly, here also, this the whatever the sentiency of the organs, correct? Because you have withdrawn all the organs, so that itself is lighting up there. So that's what he says. Swena bhasa tejo matra adana kritena. So in the previous here, if you see, the tejo matra was mentioned here. That's why Bhashyakara is referring to that. Okay. So tejo matraha samabhyadadanaha. This adadanaha also is coming from here. This is what he is referring here. So he is saying that the tejas of each and every sense organ, the light or the sentiency is withdrawn. That light itself is lighting up here. It seems it is actually lighting up the path through which the prana has to leave. Okay. So he is saying that's what. Tejo matra adana kritena swena bhasa swena eva jyotisha atmana eva cha. So basically that lighting up is because of one's own atma jyotis only, the light of the atma. And therefore what? Then tena atma jyotisha pradyo tena hridayagrena yesha atma vijnanamayaha lingopadihi nirgachati niskramati. So because of this, whichever nadi is lighted up by the atma jyotis, Okay, and through that Hridaya Agrena means through that Nadi Mukha, correct? Through that ending of the Nadi, this Atma, which is Vijnanamaya, and also which is again having this Linga Sharira as the Upadhi, correct? Which is the Linga Upadhi. So the Sukshma Sharira itself is the Upadhi. That is what is called Linga Upadhi here. Nirgachati. Okay, because Bhashyakara is always careful to say that whatever is leaving is not the Atma. Atma by itself cannot leave anywhere. It is all pervasive, correct? What is leaving is basically the Upahita Chaitanya, that which is conditioned by the Linga Sharira, Linga Upadhi alone is as though leaving. Okay, that's what we have to understand that always. That's why Vijnanamayaha Linga Upadhihi Nirgachati Nishkramati. That is the one which leaves, which goes away. Okay, through that whatever brightened opening of the Nadi, this you can say the Vijnanamaya means individual self. Okay, the Atma which is identified with one particular Sukshma Sharira or one particular Buddhi, the Vijnana, that having the entire Sukshma Sharira as the Upadhi, it departs, you can say it leaves. Okay. And the same thing is also explained in the Prashna Upanishad, you can see. Prashna Upanishad also a similar discussion is there. In fact, a similar discussion is there even in Kaushitaki Upanishad also. Recently we had some classes on that. So you can see that this kind of the description of death is given in different Upanishads almost similarly. So there in the Prana, in the Prashna Upanishad about Prana it is said. The creation of Prana, when the Pranam Asrijat, Sa Pranam Asrijat is there. So Ishvara created Prana, but what is the nature of this Prana? Asmin aham Utkrantaha Bhavishyami Tasmin va Pratishthasyami iti. So when the Prana leaves, I leave, it seems, the whatever the individual Atma, and when the Prana settles somewhere and it is there, I am also there, I am settled there, I am established there. So like this, that Prana he created. So on whose departure, on whose leaving, I leave, and on whose staying, I also stay there. That Prana I created or he created, Pranam Asrijata, like that it is there. The same thing is talked about here. So there is a reference to Prashna Upanishad. Why he is giving this here is because why can't you say the Atma itself is really leaving? Why should you say the Linga Upadhi is involved and the Upahita Chaitanya alone is leaving? What is the pramana for that if somebody asks? Bhashyakara is giving a pramana from another Upanishad. Okay, so the Atma does not really leave. What leaves is the prana. But along with the prana, the Chaitanya which is conditioned by that prana also goes, as though goes. That is what is the important thing to understand here. So, tatra cha Atma Chaitanya Jyotihi Sarvada Abhyavyaktaram. So, this Atma Chaitanya is there, correct? It is there in the Tatra here is the Linga Sharire we have to take in the Linga Upadhi only. So, in that, it is always there. This Atma, because that the Sukshma, that is why it is called Sukshma Sharira, correct? It is having that ability to manifest this consciousness or condition the consciousness. So it is Abhivyakta Taram means what Bhashyakara says. It has the ability to actually manifest. Abhivyakta means manifesting only, correct? So Bhashyakara uses that word only here also. So the Abhivyakta Tara means you can say it is specially manifest or whatever. Because why he has to say that Abhivyakta Tara, consciousness is everywhere. That's why even when we talk about cognition, the Vedantin, how does the Vedantin describe anything which you cognize, any knowledge which takes place? We say that There is a Vishaya Chaitanya, correct? Then there is a Pramana Chaitanya and there is a Pramatra Chaitanya. So Chaitanya is there everywhere. Vishaya also is Chaitanya only, but really there the Sad Amsha only is very, very manifest, correct? Everything is known as Sat, Sat, Sat only. It is, whatever it may be. The is the invariable in each and every cognition. So the object consciousness, there the consciousness itself is not particularly manifest, correct? You know, that's why we say it is insentient. Even in insentient object, the same Brahman, the Sachidanandam Atma only is there in each and every object also. But in the object, the sentient part or the chit aspect is not particularly manifest. But in the prana or the or even in the physical body also, after it after the prana leaves, it is all nothing is there, correct? It's not sentient. So this physical body also jada, but prana is always sentient. That's why it is abhivyakta he says. Even though consciousness is there everywhere, but in the sukshma sharira or the linga sharira, it is specially manifest, you can say. Okay. So the abhivyaktaram, sarvada abhivyaktaram, it is always manifest. Okay. And also particularly, specially manifest. And tad upadidhvara hi atmani janma marana gamana agamanadi sarva vikriya lakshanaha samvyavaharaha. So now again, Bhashyakara makes it very clear in this note that with reference to the upadhi only, through that upadhi only, for this atma, what is there? Janma is there, birth is there, death is there, marana is there, going and coming and all that. He says gamana agamanadi sarva vikriya lakshanaha, all the kinds of these changes, correct? Because these are all change only, because you are moving from one body to another, okay, and you are leaving this body and coming to another body, etc. So all these things which are involving some change, vikriya is there. Then does Atma really change? Means no. Atma is avikriyaha, avyayaha, avyaktaha in fact. So, but still it is as though having a birth, as though dying, as though leaving, as though coming. All these changes are all only from the standpoint of the upadhi. Upadhi dwara only. Understand that. All this vyavahara, whatever we say, is all only from the standpoint of upadhi. By itself, the atma is as it is. Tad atmakam, tada atmakam, or tad atmakam hi dvadashavidham karanam buddhyadi tat sutram tad jivanam saha antaratma jagataha tastusascha. Okay, so now Bhashyakara is now talking about this sutratma and all that. So from the Vyashti, he is again going into the Samashti also. Not only the Atma is not only manifest in the individual, but then you take all these organs. Here, in fact, you can take the, he is talking about Dwadasha, correct? Dwadasha Vidham, he says, means basically Dwadasha Vidham Karanam means 12 types of Karanas, means he is talking about the 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action. Manas and Buddhi, maybe he is taking. Okay, all these things. So Buddhyadi, and then what? And then what? Tat Sutram also. So Sutra is the Samashti Sukshma Sharira. And then Tad Jivanam Saha Antaratma Jagataha Tastusascha. And it is the innermost self, you can say, of everything. And it is the self of all, Tadatmakam, of all the, here Jagataha also, what does he mean? Tastusascha means here the Stavara Jangama, everything which is moving and immovable, whatever. Movable and immovable both are there in this universe, correct? Whatever is living, whatever is moving and not moving, everything, it is the Antaratma, this Atma only. is the Atma of everything. It is the Atma of, basically is talking about this. It is like a Mahavakya is saying here. You have to understand this Atma is not only associated with one Sukshma Sharira which is leaving. It is the same Atma which is associated with the Sutratma also, and which is the one which is actually the Atma of the entire movable and immovable universe, you can say. The entire universe, the entire world, where all the movable and the immovable, it is this Atma only. So this Atma is the one which is leaving, correct? Tena pradyotena hridayagra prakashena nitramamanaha kena margena nishkramati iti uchyate. So now the Upanishad tells this with this light which is there, correct? Whichever is lighted up, whichever nadi is lighted up in the hridaya, through that when it leaves, okay, by which path it leaves, that is also said by the Upanishad. Okay, chakshushtah va means through the chakshush it can leave, correct? So through the eyes when it leaves, what happens? Aditya loka prapti nimittam jnanam karma va yadi syat. So if you have done karma, correct, and upasana, okay, means you have the karma phala to take you to the Aditya loka, then it will go through the eyes. It will leave through the eyes when it is having the karma phala uh, for you to go to the Aditya loka. Now, if you have done lots and lots of upasana and karma and so much punya that you are going to go to Brahma loka, then what will happen? You will leave through the head, correct? That is what is said here. So, murdhanaha va Brahma loka prapti nimittam chet. So, if the jnanam and karma, jnanam here is upasana basically. So, you have done so much upasana and your karma phala is so much punya is there, then this Atma can leave through the Brahmarandhra, through the Murdha, and then you will go to Brahmaloka. In fact, for many sannyasis and all, they will break a coconut on the head simply. So that the understanding is if you take sannyasa and you leave the body, at least krama mukti is there for you, even though you may not be a jivan mukta. So when that atma goes through the through the murda, or some people they say that you can even see for sannyasis that there is some kind of a whatever aperture opening. Once when they die, they go through the Brahmarandhra, it is said. Anyway, so that is the Brahmaloka. So if you go through that Brahmarandhra, then Brahmaloka Prapti is the nimitta. Okay, that you have to go to Brahmaloka, because of that the prana leaves through the Murdha or other places also. Anyebhyaha va sharira deshebhyaha sharira avayavebhyaha yatha karma yatha shrutam. Or you leave through any other part of the body according to your karma, correct? And yatha karma yatha shruta means whatever karma you have done, whatever knowledge you have, based on that, or whatever anubhava. Okay, so that is how it happens. Means you can go to any other loka, or it can be even this loka itself. Then what happens? Tam vijnanatmanam utkramantam paralokaya prasthitam paralokaya udbhutakutim akutam ityarthaha. Okay, so this atma, when it leaves for the paraloka, correct, the next, whatever the next world which is you are supposed to go, it may be like Bhashyakara said Brahmaloka or Aditya loka, or it can be Pitruloka, because even when you are getting a good gati, it can be either you can go to the Swargaloka or the Pitruloka, it is said. And when it wants to go like that, correct, to the next world, what happens then? Utkramantam pranaha sarvadhikari sthaniyaha rajnyaha iva anutkramati. So when it leaves for our next world or next life, prana also, who is who is like the prime minister, correct? Sarvadhikari. So if the Atma is the king, Raja, Rajnyaha, then prana is the Sarvadhikari, like the prime minister. It also goes along with the Atma. And then what? All the other organs also go, correct? Tam cha pranam anutkramantam vagadeha sarve pranaha anutkramanti. And again, all other courtiers, you can say, correct? Those who go with the king, like that, these indriyas, all the indriyas also, vag, etc., they also go along. So with the Atma and the Prana, everything, they all follow. So again, what here is Bhashyakara is putting a point here. Yatha pradhananva chikyasa iyam natu kramena sarthavat gamanam iha vivaksitam. So what Bhashyakara says here is, since it is said one by one, it is said, correct? The Atma leaves, Prana leaves along with that, and all the Indriyas leave. It is not that they leave one by one. There is no krama there, that first the Atma leaves, then the Prana leaves, then the Indriya. No, it is not like that. That's what he is pointing out. They are said because the Atma is the most important, then the Prana, and then the Indriya. So in that order it is said. But that doesn't mean they are leaving one by one. They are all leaving together. That is the point he wants to make, so that you don't misunderstand that they are leaving one by one. So he is saying, Yatha pradhanan vachikyasa iyam natu kramena sarthavati gamanam. So the gamanam is not krama, in serial, one by one. But they all leave at the same time, but all of them leave, okay, together. And the order in which it is said is to only show which is pradhan, okay, which is the primary or important thing. To point out only there is a certain order here. Otherwise, they all leave together. Okay. Further, what tada yesha atma savijnanaha bhavati swapna iva vishesha vijnanavan bhavati karma vashat. So at that time, this atma becomes savijnanaha, means it has a certain knowledge. Like even in swapna, you are seeing so many things, correct? Like that, it becomes vishesha vijnanavan, means basically it has this special knowledge of the life which is going to come. Okay. And this is all due to karma only. It is not your volition or anything. That's what it is very important. It's not due to your volition. But of course, whatever you have done throughout your life, that samskara will make you have this Vishesha Vijnana. So that's why that you have to, whatever you are thinking at the time of the death, your next life also will be in keeping with that and all. It is there. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita also in the 8th chapter. Bhagavan says that. That's why he says, even at the time of death, you keep thinking of me. Whoever thinks of me, even at the time of death, they come to me. Means he says they don't have any more birth and death and all that. They become Mukta Purusha. So like that. But here, that Vishesha Vijnanam is only due to karma. Karma Vashat Bhashyakara makes it very clear. In fact, he makes it even more clear. He says, Na Swatantraha. It is not what you think, whatever you like the next birth. Like that I will have, you cannot say. Okay. Na Swatantraha. Swatantriyena hi savijnanatve sarvaha kritakrityaha sasyat. If you have that freedom there, means in fact you are kritakrityaha. You have to be a jnani. Correct. But that's not the case here. Here the samsara varnana is being done. So wherever you are going, that you will know, but that is only purely due to your karma alone. It's not your own volition, or there is no swatantrata there. There is no freedom for you. You don't decide which next birth you are going to take, etc. That is Ishvara's order. It is, we have to say. That's why. So if you are swatantra, even with respect to that, means you are a kritakritya. You are the one who has done everything that needs to be done. Means what? Basically, you are a mukta purusha. But that's not the case here. Correct? So that is very important here. It's all based on your karma. You are not independently deciding which next birth I will have, etc. So, in fact, this is again Bhashyakara is quoting the Gita only. I said correct, 8th chapter. Sada tad bhava bhavitaha. So, naivatu tat labhyate. Atayeva aha vyasaha sada tad bhava bhavitaha. So, this Bhagavad Gita 8.6 also, he is quoting here, where Vyasa, he says Vyasaha, but Bhagavan only says there. Basically, Bhagavan is saying that whatever you keep thinking, then that only you become. So, whatever you think at the time of the death, so if you have always been thinking of something throughout the life, that only you will be thinking at the time of death also, and then based on that, you attain your next life, etc. In fact, that is why if somebody dies and all that, we go and normally chant the 8th chapter also, because the 8th chapter of Gita talks about what happens when somebody dies, etc. And in fact, there also there is a lot of description about this two margas, Dhuma Marga, Chiradi Marga, and all that. So we do chant, or sometimes we chant Kathopanishad also, because there Nachiketas goes to Yama, correct? So all these and Vishnu Sahasranama also, normally if somebody is dying, we chant that, because Bhishma was on his deathbed and that's when the Vishnu Sahasranama was chanted. So these are some things we do when somebody is dying. In that Gita 8th chapter also we do. So the same thing Vyasa has said. So here Bhashyakara explains further. Karmana tu udbhavymanena anthakarana vritti vishesha vasanatmaka vishesha vijnanena sarvaha lokaha etasmin kale savijnanaha bhavati. So the savijnanaha means, even till now Bhashyakara himself did not explain exactly what it is, correct? He said special jnana and all you are having. What is that really? What is that jnana? Okay, so at the time of death, basically you are going to have samskaras from in the form of your manovritti only, correct? So he says that is the samsara only is talking about as vasana here. So he is saying antakarana vritti vishesha ashrita vasanatmaka vishesha vijnanena. So the vishesha vijnana here is what? It is based on the antakarana vrittis which you already had, and based on that antakarana vritti, whatever samskaras are there, and that samskaras only becomes the Vishesha Vijnana here. That only manifests, Udbhavya, it becomes manifest there. Okay. So, and by that, again, in fact, that itself is again based on the karma you have done. Correct. Whatever karma you have done only, all that is there. That is why karmana also he says, karmana, and that Vijnana, Sarvaha Lokaha Etasmin Kale Savijnanaha. But Sarvaha Loka means all the people here. Everybody in this loka, at the time of this death, this savijnanaha, this special vijnana means, how does that vijnana come? It is based on the antakarna vritti vasana only. That vasana only brings up that vishesha vijnanam at that time. So that is why we keep the names of our children also with Bhagavan Nama and all that, correct? So at the time of the death, at least you should have Bhagavan Nama. If it comes, it is better. At least with whatever raga you have for your children, you even if you remember your child's name, which is Bhagavan Nama, it is better. Like that, there is a story in the Bhagavata, Rajamila story. You can go and refer to that. So that is why we have that practice. I think even the children name and all, nowadays they give some fancy names and all that. But actually, it is better to name as some Bhagavan Nama. So savijnanaha bhavati, savijnanameva cha gantavyam anvavakramati anugacchati vishesha vijnana udbhasitam eva ityarthaha. So with that, whatever body which is related to that vijnana, correct? Savijnanameva. So there only you go. That is what he is saying. Wherever you have to go, which is associated with this vijnanam, There you go. Anva Vakramati Anugachati, which is Vishesha Vijnana Udbhasitam, means that which is related, or that which is revealed by that Vishesha Vijnana, through that body only one go, the next Janma. Therefore, what Tasmat Tat Kale Swatantriyartham Yoga Dharma Anusevanam Parisankhya Parisankhyaana Abhyasascha Vishikta Punya Upachayascha Shraddadhanaihi Paralokarthibihi Pramattaihi Kartavyaha iti. So now Bhashyakara is giving his own note here, what one has to do, even at the time of death, for you to have a certain swatantriya, correct? Okay. And those who are, you want to have a good afterlife, let us say, okay. So if you are aspiring for a good afterlife, what you have to do? Those who have Shraddha, Shraddha Dhanai means those who have Shraddha in the Shastra, whatever the Shastra says, correct? And those people, and Apramattaihi also he says. Apramattaha means always being alert. Okay. Pramatta means being not alert. Apramattaha means one who is alert. And you have to have yoga abhyasa and all, Bhashyakara is saying. And also you should have done a lot of punya karma. So all these things one should have, then you have a certain freedom. Even at the time of death, you have a certain freedom, and in fact, the death itself will be easier, I think. Yeah, that's what he is saying. So Paraloka Arthibihi, those who want a nice, good afterlife, who are alert, by them what is to be done. Kartavyaha is what, and they are also Shraddha means those who are having Shraddha in the Shastra. Now, Vishishta Punya Upachayaha Kartavyaha means special Punya you have to collect. Upachayaha. The collection of Vishishta, special Punya you should do, means lot of karma and upasana you should do. Not only that, Parisankhyana Abhyasaha and Yoga Dharma Anusevanam and all he says. So you have to have uh, Yoga Dharma, means you have to practice yoga and also dharma. Here, dharma can be taken as whatever is right. You should know whatever is right and do that. Okay. And that is very important. And you should repeatedly practice all these things. And then you gain special punya. All these things, if you do, then even at the time of death, you have a certain freedom and you will have a good afterlife. Or you can take it as here the Swatantriyartham or Paralokarthibihi also can be taken as those who are Mumukshus and Mukta Purushas. So if you have Swatantra even at the time of death means basically the death of the Jnani also can be taken here, means you don't go anywhere. Basically the Paraloka here is you Atmaiva Lokaha we say, correct? Not those who have Jnana. So those who have done enough Nitidhyasana and all that, and even at the time of death, you have the freedom to only have this knowledge that I am this Atma and only the body is dying. Right? That freedom you have still. You don't get mixed up with the body, mind, sense complex and think that I am dying. Instead of that, you are free. Whatever may happen to the body, it is happening to the body. I have nothing to do with that. So that much freedom and alertness and that knowledge, if it is always available, then you are free. You are Krita Krityaha, you are Mukta Purusha. Therefore, throughout your life, you should be doing this abhyasa, this recollection of this knowledge. Therefore, even at the time of death, you don't, even when your senses are all failing, etc., you have that knowledge. Therefore, so he's saying what? Sarva Shastranam Yatnataha Videyaha Artaha Dushcharitacha Uparamanam. So, what you are supposed to do is that whatever in all the Shastras are only telling you one thing. What don't do? Do all the things which are supposed to be done. Punya upachaya, for that whatever is to be done, you do. But you also avoid whatever is durachara. Okay. That which is papa. That is what he is saying. Duscharitat, uparamanam means you stop doing, you avoid any durachara, wrong things you don't do, and only whatever is mandated by the Shastra you do. So there you have to put all your effort. Okay, whatever is mandated by the Shastra, you do that. Whatever is prohibited, whatever is wrong, those things you don't do. That is what one has to do throughout one's life. Why? Because at that time you cannot decide all these things. That's what he's saying. Nahi tatkale shakyate kinchit sampadayitum. At the time of death, you cannot do anything. You should have done everything throughout your life. Then at the time of the death also, the samskara will continue. Otherwise, at the time of the death, I will chant Rama Rama, Krishna Krishna and all that. Shiva Shiva will not come. Understand that. Why? Because karmana niyamanasya swatantriya bhavat. At that time, you will be only guided by the karma you have done. If you have done papa karma, that papa karma itself will drag you to certain whatever next life. So you are only led by your own karma. You are not independent at that time. And that was said by Brhadaranyaka itself, correct? Punyo vai punyena karmana bhavati papaha papene iti uktam. So the punya karma will take you to a punya loka, papa karma will take you to a papa loka or papa yoni. Correct? The birth which is very lowly birth it will take if you have done all papa. Okay, we will continue this the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
Om.
गुरुजी